Man is a creature who gets used to everything, Dostoevsky wrote, and you've gotten used to the worst lie of all, that your life exists to upgrade hers while destroying yours. You know this. You've lived it. You've poured your money, energy, years, mind, and future into building a throne for her while you sat on the cold floor beneath it, shivering in the shadow of a life you thought was love. You called it loyalty. You called it sacrifice. You called it being a real man. But let me ask you, who's building your life while you're building hers? Who's rescuing you while you're busy rescuing her from a life she should have built on her own? You gave her everything, your sweat, your silence, your dignity, your dreams. And what did you keep for yourself? Nothing, not a shred of self-respect, not a sliver of purpose, not a single unbroken piece of the man you once promised yourself you'd become. Dostoevsky didn't just write about guilt and suffering. He wrote about the weakness of men who throw away their souls for people who never asked them to. Men who confuse desperation for devotion, who mistake their own annihilation for nobility. Man only likes to count his troubles, he warned. He doesn't calculate his happiness. And you, my friend, have been counting the wrong things all along. You tallied the hours, you worked overtime to fund her vacations, the nights you swallowed your pride to keep her calm, the years you wasted trying to earn a love that was never yours to earn. You believed you were building a future, but you were building a prison, brick by brick, funded by your own blindness, mortgaged by your own time, locked shut by your own cowardice. You thought if you gave more, she'd stay. You thought if you sacrificed more, she'd love you. You thought if you made her life easier, you'd finally feel like a man. But you don't feel like a man, do you? You feel like a ghost, a shell, a beggar in the palace you built for her. You feel used, unseen, like you sold yourself cheap. And the worst part, you did it willingly. Dostoevsky called this spiritual suicide, a slow, silent, respectable death. You want to know why you wake up empty? Because you've spent years upgrading her life while letting yours rot. You funded a world you don't even belong to anymore. You traded your ambition for her comfort, your mission for her whims, your name for her approval, and you know it. You feel it. The gnawing bitterness eating at your spirit, the quiet voice that whispers in the dark, you're disappearing. You were born to build a life, not donate it, not waste it on decorating someone else's throne, not lose it trying to make her existence effortless. Yet here you are, years later, standing in the rubble of a life you thought was built on love, but was really built on fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being unloved, fear of staring into the void and realizing you are the only one responsible for filling it. Fear that if you stop sacrificing, she'd finally see you for what you are, a man who never learned to stand on his own. Let's cut through the lies. You didn't sacrifice for love. You sacrificed for approval, for the pathetic little reward of not being left, for the fleeting illusion that someone, anyone, might call you enough. Dostoevsky saw this in men like you, the ones who perform like fools, building kingdoms where they hold no crown, laying bricks for palaces they'll never own. You wore your self-sacrifice like a badge of honor. You bragged about the late nights, the drained bank accounts, the dreams you buried. But Dostoevsky saw the truth. Lying to ourselves is more deeply ingrained than lying to others. And you've been lying to yourself for years. Telling yourself this is what love looks like. Telling yourself that erasing your future is virtuous. Telling yourself that if you just keep giving, you'll finally matter. But real men don't give everything away to prove their worth. Real men build themselves first so they never have to beg to be valued. Here's the brutal truth you've been avoiding. No woman will ever respect a man who erases himself to make her comfortable. She doesn't want a servant. She doesn't want a martyr. She wants a man who stands for something beyond her approval, a man who doesn't need her validation to know his own name. But you made her your purpose, your mission, your identity. You handed her the keys to your soul and begged her to stay. And now you wonder why she grew cold, why she looks at you and no longer sees the man she once believed in. It's because you stopped being a man when you stopped living for yourself. She saw it long before you admitted it. She saw the cowardice behind your sacrifices, the fear masquerading as devotion, the desperation dressed up as love. This isn't love. It's slavery sold to you as masculinity. It's servitude disguised as romance. And deep down, you know how it ends. You upgrade her lifestyle, her comfort, her opportunities. You finance her dreams, her hobbies, her freedom. And one day, she leaves. Not because she's evil, but because she knows you were never building for yourself. You were building to impress her, to be needed, to fill the silence of your own unlived life. And the moment she stops needing you, she stops respecting you. Look around. Millions of men end up this way, empty, forgotten, clutching memories they paid for alone, scrolling through photos of a life they funded but never truly lived. Dostoevsky's underground man is your reflection, a pitiful creature who justified his weakness as depth, who turned his bitterness into a religion, who lived off the shadows of others because he couldn't bear to build his own life. You've traded ambition for convenience, mission for romance, your entire future for a seat at a table you don't own. And now you're bitter, resentful, a fraud in your own story. You claim you built this life out of love, but really you built it out of fear. Fear of standing alone, fear of the silence, fear of being a man whose worth isn't tied to someone else's happiness, fear that if you stopped playing the hero, you'd have to face the truth. You never knew who you were without her. Dostoevsky warned that to love is to suffer, but you skip the unspoken truth. Suffering without boundaries isn't love. It's self-betrayal. You were never supposed to erase yourself to make others feel secure. You were never supposed to trade your mission for their comfort. You were supposed to build something bigger, a vision others could trust you to lead, a legacy they could respect you for creating, something that outlived their presence. But you didn't. You built her temple, lit the candles, swept the floors, and now stand outside like a beggar, waiting for someone to invite you back into a life you funded. Ask yourself, what did you build for you? Where is your foundation, your mission, your life? You don't know because you never made yourself the project. You never made yourself the priority. You never made yourself the man she could respect without needing to save you. And now you're alone, not because she's gone, but because you were never there to begin with. You vanished into her shadow, and the man you could have been died quietly in the process. This is the sickness Dostoevsky warned about, the man who needs to be needed, the man who confuses desperation for depth, the man who'd rather rot in someone else's story than bleed for his own. You've mastered the art of giving without building, sacrificing without standing, providing without leading. You've become an emotional janitor, cleaning up messes you didn't make, fixing problems you didn't create, all to earn a love that was never yours to earn. And now that it's over, you're left with nothing but the ghost of who you might have been. But here's the cold light of dawn. You still have a choice. The same hands that built her throne can tear it down. The same mind that funded her comfort can reclaim your future. The same heart that beat for her approval can learn to beat for itself. Dostoevsky wrote, "The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for." You've been running from that mystery, hiding behind her dreams to avoid facing your own emptiness. But the clock is ticking. The years you wasted won't return. The respect you lost won't regenerate on its own. You either rise now or rot in the ruins of the man you refuse to become. Let's get something straight. This isn't about blaming her. This isn't about resentment or regret. This is about you, the man who forgot his name, the man who traded his soul for scraps of validation, the man who's finally ready to face the truth. You've been dead for years. You just didn't have the courage to admit it until now. Dostoevsky wrote, "To live without hope is to cease to live." And you've been lifeless for too long. But here's the secret they don't tell you. Rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation. The raw, unflinching truth that you've got nothing left to lose. That's where rebirth begins. You've hit the darkness. Good. Now let's talk about how to claw your way back into the light. First, kill the savior complex. Stop trying to fix, rescue, or martyr yourself for others. You are not a charity. You are not a therapist. You are not a human credit card. You're a man with a mission. And until that mission becomes non-negotiable, you'll keep attracting users, not partners. A woman doesn't want a man who lives for her tears. She wants a man who lives for his purpose. Dostoevsky's heroes weren't saints. They were flawed, raging, desperate men who fought for meaning. Be that man, not the one who begs for love, but the one who earns respect by refusing to abandon himself. Second, rebuild your mission. What's buried under the rubble of your wasted years? What dream did you smother to play the provider? What vision did you abandon to keep her from leaving? Dig it up, dust it off. It's time to suffer for something that belongs to you, your body, your business, your mind, your discipline, your name. Rebuild them all. The world doesn't need another man who gave everything away. It needs a man so consumed by his purpose that applause feels irrelevant. A man who builds not to impress, but to outlast. A man who understands that respect isn't given, it's taken, forged in the fire of relentless self-improvement. Confront the empty man inside. Sit in silence. No phone, no distractions, no scrolling, just you and the hollow version of yourself you've been running from. Write down every excuse you've used to avoid growth. I'll start tomorrow. She needs me. It's too late. Burn that list. The empty man dies today. Earn your own respect. Start small. Wake up early. Lift weights. Finish a project. Keep promises to yourself. A man who respects himself doesn't beg for respect, he commands it by default. When you respect yourself, others have no choice but to follow. Redefine what you want. Stop seeking comfort. Seek challenge. Stop chasing approval. Chase mastery. Stop needing to be needed. Need to be unstoppable. When you build yourself first, you stop attracting parasites and start attracting allies. This won't be easy. Dostoevsky never promised easy. He wrote, "Nothing has ever been more insupportable for a man in a human society than freedom, but this is the freedom you've avoided. The terrifying, exhilarating freedom to take full responsibility for your existence. To stop blaming her, the world, your past, to look in the mirror and say, this is my fault. This is my mess, and I will fix it." Let's be clear. Rebuilding requires ruthless choices. You'll lose people, you'll face ridicule, you'll doubt yourself, you'll lie awake at night, haunted by the ghost of the man you used to be. But remember, you've already survived the worst. The humiliation of being used, the shame of self-betrayal, the ache of a life half-lived. What's left now is the fight. And in that fight, you'll discover something. The man you're becoming terrifies the man you were. Guard your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Stop pouring yourself into relationships that drain you. Stop romanticizing suffering. Start investing in disciplines that fortify you. Lift weights, read books, build skills. Dostoevsky's greatest characters didn't find redemption in comfort. They found it in the storm. Be the storm, and when the doubt creeps in, when the old voices whisper, "Who are you to want more?" remember this. You weren't born to be someone's footnote. You weren't born to sponsor comfort while your soul starves. You were born to build, lead, and bleed for something that outlives you, to plant trees whose shade you'll never sit under, to fight battles that matter, to leave a legacy that doesn't depend on her memory. Dostoevsky wrote, "The darker the night, the brighter the stars." Your night has been long. Now let those stars guide you. Not her, not them, you. Final step, walk away. Not from love, but from the lie that love requires your annihilation. The right woman won't ask you to shrink. She'll demand you rise and match her stride for stride. But first, you must rise alone. This is your reckoning. The years you lost are gone. The respect you squandered is dead. But the man you can still become, he's waiting, and he doesn't need a throne. He needs a battlefield. The choice is yours. Dostoevsky's words hang in the air. Take a lie, turn it inside out, and you'll find the truth. You've lived the lie. Now turn it inside out. Build, fight, rise, or die as the man who had every chance but chose comfort over courage. The clock's ticking. What's it going to be?